with your background, why did you start Serenity Board, sort of where you see the company as a company, and now a game developer with Factor Films.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've seen how there is a growth. I've seen that before, also the game director. I mean, the founding of the studio, it's a pretty long story. The short version really is just that when I was a game developer, but when I was 18 years old, I tried to for 2 years. During that time, I didn't really have a lot going on. I was just playing a lot of video games like Final Fantasy, I feel like a hero, or games like World of Warcraft that connected me with life. Eventually, I was able to recover and go back to school, but I thought to myself, like League of Legends was not made to help me, but it saved my life. What if I start making games with intention to help other people? What kind of power do I have? And that's when I started kind of learning how to make games for myself. I actually started off as a solo dev, just kind of sitting in the back, like C++ kind of classes that I could afford, learn how to program, learn how to draw, and started making my own novels, and started building with my friends and making games together. And you know, I've been making my friends also releasing games on EU, PS4, and so 10 years later, here we are, still doing that, and just figuring it out.
Would you say that the public is a and do you think you could put a percentage on how much do you view publishing versus development versus
Yeah, so Serenity Forge's mission statement is that we create any actually that's challenging. So ultimately, what we care a lot about is doing anything that's able to have inherently pushing the world forward and making the world a better place out there. If we're making a game and everyone in the world is not going to is that a good thing for society? That's really the core process. And then ultimately also this mentality of getting timeless stories. It's not just logic like right now, but also 20 years down the road. So that's kind of how we do things. So therefore when we develop or publish or even create physical copies or merchandise or plushies, that's always the driving factor. Are we making something like, for example, a lot of that someone is able to hold on to and realize, what, this game that matters so much, it's the reason why I'm here today. It's still good for me right now. So I mean, a lot of that stuff is really impressive.
Physics it seems like it's become a bigger part of us board. We are big talking about this whole not being each game or so. Talk a bit about that. That's sort of also the kind of like your blocking
Yeah, I mean, to be totally honest, any game developer wants a game shiny. That's just true. So I started exploring this options pretty early on. One of the trigger factors for me was actually in the late 2010s. I was just kind of going through I was sitting there doing my I was overhearing this teenage boy fighting with his mom. It's like, I want this game. I want FIFA. No, I want FIFA at home. And it's like, whatever. Like, I was in a huge practice. After they left, I walked over and listened to the show and realized, what? So I don't know. Where are the games that would always be stuff? Where's other stuff? Like, where's all these games that I would grow up with that changed my life? Kids in stores cannot get that. And I thought, if we want to fully express the vision of Serenity, if we really want to create games that change the world, we have to make sure people can play it first. And literally, some boy in Kansas, is getting a Christmas gift present from his grandma. So it's not going to be to get, that game. It's not going to be to get the lessons. So that's what's really supposed to be. And overall, we really kind of took off when we launched our first physical game, which is and we ended up selling somewhere around 2,000 units the first day. Physically, something like that. It's really created such an impact for people around the world, and I think I think a part of it is an opportunity. also part of it is a necessity for us if you want to upgrade. So many people are always playing. You might not have it. Think about people outside of the US, the world, but those people need physical I know how difficult to download a game on the shop in China, but the only way is for people to play Switch games in China is still if the game isn't on the cartridge, isn't on the disc, then you're just out of luck. That's not a game that is good for you to live with. Yeah. Other things include, like I said, Christmas shopping, family gifting. Kids expecting grandma to go along to Steam and download, tutorial for you. That's just not exactly how games works. That's a physical and then ultimately, it's a matter of kind of making things accessible. Creating that second-hand market. I know it's also true for publishers about that, but we love to be able to have someone, maybe someone low income hands, they could only really buy that copy, and then maybe they'd lend it to their friends, and I'm horrified with this but now you're able to share that experience. Games like Doki Doki Literature Club, where it's about the usability of literature. Games like Visa, where it's about, the empowerment of women and these are messages that are very important. We want to be able to spread them downstairs. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of a gray market. There's a lot of universal sports when it comes to physical. Everyone competes. There is no such thing as a publisher comes in here and competes. There's no such thing as you take down the digital store, you can't download the game. We really care about people being able to carry these games. A game coming out of Serenity, you might only spend 3-5 hours, but you will remember that. So, thinking about that, I want to be able to support that. Absolutely. So Killerkdemons is a farming sim, life sim, that kind of slowly turns into a kind of psychological farm. But the trick is that it actually continues to farm the game. It's a game that, like you said, is very similar to me. It's actually inspired by and ultimately one of the stories that really hits home for a lot of people, especially today, where it's very speaking, very nuanced in unexpected ways, and essentially empowering Yeah, absolutely. That was actually one of our first conversations before designing the game. But ultimately, we felt like this story is very universal. It's so personal. You just have to kind of see the world through to be able to know. So we ended up with that's it. Pretty obvious. I think art styles don't quite match up between the main characters in the world, and there's actually a lot of layers.
But is the audio
what you've seen in people's car, some snippets here and there. See the world maybe through her eyes.
Okay, I might try to in the demo
a lot more where that came from. Probably.
I'm also really curious about, their time in development. I think it should be good.
What's your favorite? You guys been working on?
We're going to say
there has never been a moment. I mean, we know that there are multiple places where people for example, improve the character and we've always, since day one, wanted to create a world where the That's awesome for us. We wanted to kind of have that animated in it otherwise very realistic. Lighting wise, in some ways we're inspired by stuff and also wonder this character is really out of place and easy. Well, you'll know
Right. Yeah, it's very,
especially after the fact you need more choice. It's like,
there was a moment that I had before regarding where I wanted to go. Obviously, we had a great time with the poll. Ironically, I won't talk too much about the results, but it's actually a really good time for me. I was really into this game. So overall, we knew this game. But on top of Nicole, there's actually a slew of voices, not just hers, but also some other voices. Like, for example, Shirley, who is the team. That is also a very emotional moment that's able to kind of carry out as you start to realize. So a lot of these characters in the narrative is really kind of very just deciding.
yeah, like putting the right sequence.
and that presents us.
I feel like our interactions are very
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be totally honest, the game, a lot of it is inspired by just I'm a big gardener. I love gardening. Managing the resources, getting rid of the bugs that's eating your stuff. That's frustrating. It's stressful, but also kind of rewarding and cozy. Cooking, I love cooking as well. You're balancing finding the right ingredients, but also not overcooking it. Oh no, you burned your stuff. Right? Like just kind of being inspired by these moments in day-to-day life into what this game is. So we thought about how do we lean more into it? How do we create a true license that kind of brings both the cozy, rewarding elements of it, but also the kind of the frustrating horror. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's definitely something we're looking for. But, I'm glad that it's in here. Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something that's really important for us. Like I mentioned, I was helping. I was making games with my friends, and eventually was helping my friends make their games, and accidentally started a publisher and ran that for a while. Our publishing is still here, and we're going to have a lot of different games that we're working on that I can't wait to talk more about. But personally, I'm definitely also very excited, not just for Fresh, but also some of the other new games. I think it's insane. Yeah.
So one, we're running short on time because of the other memory, but voice acting,
yeah, I mean, pretty much everything is in-house. So, like, for example, Shirley is the teenage voice that voices Angie. But also, as we have discussed, Nicole from Slave Princess is, also in the game as, a character. During some of the ending moments of the demo, you probably also heard some disjointed voices. Funny enough, both of my kids voiced the children's voices. So my 5-year-old daughter as well as a 2-year-old son. My wife also is one of the voices, kind of in conjunction with that. And then lastly, during the trailer, you probably heard that there's a kind of man's voice that's in there. That voice is actually one of our lead programmers on the team, so who's an inspiring voice actor. So all of this is kind of put together by our very talented voice director for Yesh, who's actually our vice president in the company, and he comes from a film background, so we're able to kind of wrap that together.
Jonathan's playing demo and they're saying where would it need to be? You want to say her voice acting that specifically?
Oh, her voice acting is incredible. I mean, I realized that it was the princess from Slay the Princess inside her head, and the other guy was telling me that she's actually doing both roles, and I was like, oh, that's wild. Yeah, I mean, she absolutely nails the emotion, like where she's supposed to be like just beaten down and just worn out. I mean, there's just such misery in her voice, right? I mean, like I feel bad just listening to her talk because you can feel how much she's drained and how bad she's suffering. The voice, the sound was incredible in that. I'm glad you told me to put the headphones back on. Yeah, seriously, because it really improves the performance or the whole experience so much. So it was really good.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your support. It's the people like you guys, like people who spread the word of smaller studios like ours, going out there doing the weird stuff that no one else is really doing. It's you guys who make this possible. So, honestly, like I'm so thankful for everything that you guys do. I really appreciate it. We really wouldn't be able to do this. So thank you so much.
You can say each game is hard, but that's me, right?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.